Yu-Gi-Oh! A card game so old that it'd be a high school graduate this year can be described in one word. Huge. Constantly being expanded on with new sets almost every month, no set rotation, and a pool of over 10,000 cards, players are able to devise decks of their choosing by pulling them from the vast ocean of unique cardboard elements to help them create different combos and plays to get them an edge in their games. But what about those who don't know the abilities of cards that were printed before they got into the game? Having such a huge arsenal can be overwhelming for the average beginner whose toes are barely in the shallow end of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card pool, and can even turn some people away from the game. That's where we come in. I and two friends will be building and using decks out of cards that come out of only one set. Wondering how that will work? Well, here it is. Step 1. Choose a recent set. Step 2. Each of us will choose an archetype to build out of that set. Generic cards will be split evenly between all of us. Step 3. Open 3 boxes of that set. Step 4. Each of us will build a deck of our chosen archetype with the cards pulled. And Step 5. Play a double round robin. Once all the games are done, points will be rewarded to the first and second place players, while the third place will receive 0. These points will accumulate throughout the season, and whoever has the most at the end of the season will get to choose one of the decks they use throughout the year and get it as a prize. Each time we open up a new set, the decks will be reset, meaning that we will only be able to use whatever cards we pull next. Alright, with the ground rules set and ready to go, it's time to play Out of the Box. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to episode 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3 for Out of the Box. Today we are doing the deck profile. So what have we cooked up with the random mass of cards that we pulled in the 4 boxes? There will be one deck profile per video per player, and each one will be split up onto all of our channels. So the evil twins will be on mine, the Magistus will be on Golden Novas, and the Drytron / Cyber Dragons will be on JC's channel. Don't forget to check them out as soon as you're done with this one, because you won't see them posted anywhere else. Anyway, how are you guys doing, and how was the deck building process for this particular format?
It was very wonderful. I'm so glad that Magistus, I pulled every single card that I need. It was holding us back. We didn't need any of that at all. Yeah, I'm very confident that this is going to be an easy 2 points in my corner for the end of season tally. But enough about the glory that is Magistus. JC, how about you?
I too, I believe, pulled everything I needed. Watching deck profiles made me realize that I genuinely, I think, pulled everything that you would want out of this set for the deck profile. Of course, I'm missing all the ancillary things like all the like the fairy engine with Ben 10 and stuff. But in terms of pure, I'm feeling pretty confident about what I was given. Now, how I constructed it and what I did with the cards I was given, we will see later. But but at least I can say I pulled lucky, so that's a win in my book for sure. And what about the live twins?
Well, the live twins, we definitely pulled at least one of everything that we need. The fact though that we didn't pull multiples of the Link version of Lilla makes it a little more difficult for me to do things, but there's one thing that I love doing in any card game is taking a perfectly working engine and literally driving it into the ground. So this will be really fun to share, and of course next week it'll be really fun to lose with. But yeah, let's get straight into these decks.
Hey guys, welcome to the best deck profile from Out of the Box Arc 1 Genesis Impactors, or Impact, I still don't even know. So today this is going to be Drytrons for everyone here. Just before we go into the actual showing of the cards, all of the main deck Drytron effect monsters that aren't rituals all have 2,000 attack, 0 defense, and you can special summon them from the hand or graveyard to the field in defense position by attributing either a Drytron or a ritual monster from your hand or field. This sounds amazing. It's very recursive, and it definitely helps in the grind game. And the only downside is I'm restricted to monsters who can't be normal summoned or set for the rest of the turn, which doesn't matter because this entire deck basically has that restriction on it anyway. So the first monster I'm using is actually 3 copies of Alpha Thubin. This searches our ritual monsters. Just a little heads up also, like I said, all the main deck monsters have this effect, and then they each have a unique effect. So Alpha just basically searches our rituals, and then I play 3 copies of Zeta, which searches our ritual spells. These are very good that I got 3 copies of each of these, so that way I believe, again, I haven't read Magistus or Live Twins, but I'm assuming I probably have the best searchability out of all the decks, or at least I like to hope so, for my sake. But next up, I do play the 2 copies of Delta Alteus, which I am on the fence about, because in an actual deck, like if you weren't constricted to playing just what's in Genesis Impactors, I probably wouldn't even run this, because you reveal a ritual monster or a ritual spell to draw a card. I just don't like the kind of situational aspect of this, but I probably will have a ritual monster or ritual spell in my hand at all times, especially in this slower format probably. So drawing the card is always good. Thinking about it out loud right now, I probably would run 3, but I guess I'm locked in now. So I'll just go to the 1 beta Rostaban, which you return a banished Drytron to the graveyard. This is very situational. This is probably the worst. It's a name because you contribute it, if anything, to get your other Drytrons that are better out onto the field. But it also situationally works with Draconis. I forgot, is it Born of Draconis? I got my... it sounds like I'm reading off things, but I'm not. I'm definitely reciting this from memory, but it is called Born from Draconis. So, which we'll get to a little later in the traps. So now on to the rituals, which I didn't type up their effects because they are way too long. So let me just... I apologize. I didn't think this far ahead. I got to pull up Dueling Book again to get real quick their effects up, because I could go from memory, but I feel like I'll miss one of the 3 effects on here. Okay, so Deck Constructor. Okay, so first up, I played 2 copies of Drytron Meteonis Draconids. Now this guy, I can ritual summon it with our ritual spell card, and my opponent can't target it with monster effects. I know Nova has specifically mentioned this every time he's like, oh, I can out this except that one guy, and this is that one guy because of that pesky little monster effect restriction there. And if the total levels of monsters used for its ritual summon are 2 or less, which works in this deck because of the unique ritual spell card it has, which of course we'll get to later, it can attack all special summon monsters my opponent controls once each. With 4,000 attack, I'll probably be killing everything, so that's definitely really good. It's kind of just a blowout. And on top of that, during my opponent's turn, as a quick effect, I can banish monsters from my graveyard whose combined attack is either exactly 2,000 or 4,000, and I destroy face-up cards my opponent controls for every 2,000 attack. So basically, I can either banish 1 other copy of the ritual monster, or 2 copies of the main deck Drytrons and destroy 2 things on the field, or if I just have 1 main deck in the graveyard, destroy 1. It's very good and flexible there. The next ritual I have for Drytron is 2 Meteonis Quadrantids. This is more defensive feeling. The last one was attack mode, and this one's more defensive in my mind, because this one cannot be targeted by spell or trap cards or effects. Your opponent can't target it by those. And then if it's special summoned the same way, where it's the ritual monsters or ritual materials with 2 or less levels, you can destroy... Let me read this real quick. Okay. You can destroy all spell and traps your opponent controls. And if its ritual summon self is destroyed, you can special summon Drytron monsters from your graveyard, except a copy of him whose total combined attack equals 4,000. So you can either bring out, of course, 2 of your main deck monsters, or if you properly ritual summoned the other guy, you can kind of tag him in. Granted, he won't have his nice effect since he wasn't ritual summoned with 2 or less levels that time. It's still nice to have another 4,000 body on the field. Now on to the non-Drytron main deck monsters. I am playing 3 Hat Tricker. After looking up deck profiles of this deck, I know that Pure would probably be my best bet in this like microcosm of a format, but I'm so deathly afraid of Bottomless Trap Hole. I need something that I can stick on board. So this is my only monster that can do that, because everything else Bottomless Trap Hole can get to me. So, and it's also a free special summon. I don't know how much momentum we can get in Swarm the Field, really. Unless it's me, because like again, they have a very the Drytrons have a very free special summoning. But if I'm worried about Bottomless, I might not be the one to have like the 2 or more bodies on board. But anyway, this is very situational kind of, but I think it's the right choice for me because again, I'm just so afraid of Bottomless and I want something on the field rather than nothing. I am playing arguably the MVP of the deck in terms of the meta relevancy of it, and that's 3 copies of Ben 10. Ben 10, you tribute it, or if it's tributed, then you can search a light fairy from your deck to your hand, and that means you can search another copy of Ben 10. That's basically its main use in this deck. Sadly, Genesis Impactors contains 1 other light fairy monster, so I am playing the 1 brick of the deck, the 1 Herald of Ultimateness. This was a very last minute change in my deck list, but I think I like it because after I cycle through my Ben 10s, I want that final Ben 10 to do something, and then I can use that Herald of Ultimateness as a tribute material for my main deck Drytron monsters. Sadly, if I draw it, it's not the worst because that just means, again, I can use it as a tribute for my Drytrons, which is why it's kind of a brick, but it's like a little better than like an actual like Garnet or anything like that. Similar to, of course, little spoiler alert for Nova's profile, I think this is my book of Invocation. What's the book called? Oh man, I'm talking so much about Drytrons, I forgot every other archetype. I'm sorry, what's the actual law? Oh, Book of the Law. Yes, sorry, yes. Okay, yeah. This is my Book of the Law, basically, my brick. So now on to the spell cards. So first up for the spell cards is going to be 3 Cyber Emergency. This is a no-brainer. It just, again, searches my Drytrons. That's why I also mentioned earlier that this deck definitely has a lot of searchability in comparison to the other 2 archetypes in this little microcosm we got going on here. Next up, I play 3 Drytron Fafnir. It searches a Drytron or a ritual spell, so that's pretty good. Or sorry, a Drytron spell or a ritual spell. And if I control a Drytron, I can once per turn lower the level of my opponent's summon monster by 1 for every 1,000 attack they have, and it protects my rituals from being negated as well, my ritual spells. That level modulation thing, I think, can only really mess up Golden Nova with like him trying to get the Xyz and like the synchro plays out, but like I understand like the extra deck monsters also are very much utilized like as equipped cards, sent to the graveyard and stuff. So I know it won't destroy him, but I like that it's a little tricky, I think, and it'll only mess him up. So I'm sorry, but I had to run it because it was a searcher also. I don't think it's mandatory though. So.
Wait, we can't allow that.
Okay.
Get out of here. No.
Thanks,
You
Casey.
can't allow it.
Thank you.
Next up, for the Drytron spells, I have 3 Asterism. If I have a ritual or a Drytron, I can have them lose 1,000 attack to destroy an opponent's face-up monster. This is a quick play. It's pretty simple. I don't think, again, if you were playing this in a more meta build where you like had the rest of the cards in the game, I don't know if you even play this, but in this format, I like it a lot. Next up, I play the 3 Nova. Oh wait, I can't. So I'm just playing the 2 Nova, which is its special summons a Drytron from the deck. Of course, one of my normal, not normal, but like monster cards, not the rituals, the 2000 attack ones. That's pretty simple, just field advantage, and also it's a search as well, so it's definitely very, very good, and its price at the time of recording this definitely reflects that as well. I play the 1 Eclipse, which adds a Drytron from my graveyard to my hand, and it has a graveyard effect where on a turn other than when it was sent to the graveyard, you can banish it to have a Drytron gain 2000 attack. This one's just kind of, I know Nova's really trying to push that grind game, so I gotta play to his strategy and be even grindier. So, of course, sadly, taking a Drytron from graveyard to hand, Bottomless, my biggest bane, that won't interact with that at all because Bottomless just banishes it, but still, this will help me with anything else because there's only 3 copies of Bottomless, so hopefully if I can get past those, this will help me grind farther. And then finally, for my last spell is my 1 Meteonis Drytron, which is a ritual spell that also recurs itself. I've seen deck profiles, people willingly actually choosing to run 1 copy of this, so I'm very glad we at least pulled 1. And that's my only ritual spell also, but again, I can search it pretty easily. I have 6 cards in my deck that can search it, so I'm not too worried about accessing it. I don't think anyone can banish a spell or trap in this format, and now that I say that out loud, I'm pretty sure no one else will mention if they do have anything that can do that in their profiles, but I'm feeling pretty okay that as long as I can search this and get it into rotation, it'll do me a lot of good to actually get the ritual monsters out. For the traps, I have the only Born from Jaconis. Now, this is an alternate ritual spell, basically. I genuinely don't need this, and I very seriously considered cutting it altogether, but 50% of it's for the meme and just the fact that I thought it would be good, and 50% is like I don't have the extra ritual spell, which if I did have more than one to play with, I might have ended up playing two. So this is just kind of like, if anything, a dead card. I think this is actually my most dead card potentially, but it could be used. It banishes all my light machines from my graveyard, but since I'm only running 1 copy of it, I don't think, obviously it won't conflict with itself, it'll just conflict with anything I'm trying to kind of work with from my graveyard, like all of my Drytrons. Speaking this out loud right now makes me realize I really regret this card choice, but I guess I dug my foolish burial here, so I will lay in it.
You gotta have a desperation move to like, when 5 minutes at the end of the episode, it's like, wait, I have 1 card.
This is my 8th gate that I'm opening here. This will be the final hurrah, but I'll just I will, speaking of the grind game, this like removes me from the grind game. Like this will I will not be able to recover from this if I play this late game. But the final Drytron card in the deck is the 1 copy of Drytron Meteor Shower. This one is kind of similar to the drawing Drytron earlier, where you need like a ritual or a ritual spell in your hand, because this, if you control a ritual monster, you can negate the normal or special summon of a opponent's monster and send it back to the deck. That's powerful, but I worry that if I already have a ritual on my field, which all my rituals are pretty powerful boss monsters, all my rituals that I would summon on the field, this is kind of a win more card, but I figured this would at least make me, win more, in the sense that if I have a board that's set up that's pretty decent, this will at least deter that one Zoroa for sure. So next up, my final card of the deck is the 3 Bottomless, which is good, slow, and simple is the only thing I wrote for this card. This is the defining card of the format. I definitely believe, I think all of us can agree that this is the scariest card of the format as well, because we all know what it does. I think that's the main thing, because everything else is like, that does something, right? But I know what this does, so that's why this is the highest thing on my radar by far, and the worst thing that I think I'll have to deal with, because like I mentioned, the biggest weakness in this format for me personally is the fact that you can actually bottomless anything I have. So of course there's choke points you have to consider and all that stuff, but still, if I pull bad and I only have 1 summon move and you bottomless it, then like then I'll have nothing. So the extra deck. Now the extra deck is very fun because we have the 1 beat cop and 3 of each nightmare available to me. Because unlike these two, I am a ritual deck through and through. And we did have, I think the only other generic extra deck monster was Dark Mist, which I physically cannot make. So I didn't even bother putting it in here, just in case. I understand with the extra plays, I want as many extra deck monsters as possible, you know, but I couldn't fit it in. So this is what I'm running. Check out Golden Nova's deck profile, because he mentioned the hot spicy tech of Phoenix into Unicorn for maximum value and efficiency. And then Griffin, I think, is actually pretty good also, because I feel like a lot of my spell and traps kind of like make everything else like flow and work. So I'm definitely thinking I could use that the most. And Phoenix, because even though it can be bottomless itself, if I can, I don't know how to word this without sounding stupid, so I'm just going to say it anyway. But my grand counterplay is anything can be bottomless, right? But I know everyone would save the bottomless for like my ritual monsters, you know, like stronger monsters. So I bring out 2 Drytrons and fake everyone out, and so they don't use their bottomless yet. And then I also bring out a Phoenix. Once I get to that level of play, the Phoenix you will either bottomless the Phoenix and waste it, or I will just destroy the bottomless if I can guess it correctly and it's not a book of the law. So that's my only strategy and combo I've thought of so far. So the extra deck is pretty vital in this strategy for sure. And that is the deck profile. I just want to say, once you're done watching this, in the description below you will also see Golden Nova's and Jello the Casual Card Gamers deck profiles using only cards from the Genesis Impactor set, if you're interested in that, because this is part of a series. I'm probably going to title this something like deck profile only using cards from Genesis Impactor, you know, for that search engine optimization. You know, we're all big on the social media scene. Of course, I'll add out of the box, so that way it's part of the flavor and everything, because, you know, it is actually part of the series. But this is definitely an interesting deck. I'm confident about it in terms of the actual archetype, but in terms of my skill and in terms of the fact that it is kind of combo-y, I don't know how confident I'll actually be in application. But on paper, in a very good vacuum, I guess this doesn't suck. Haha, vacuum joke. So that's that.
Okay.
And that's guys.
All right. I like that there's a little bit of hubris in here, a potential hubris with the amount of bricks in this deck. You know, so confident that, like, you know, he'll just knock us out anyway. Puts in 2 bricks, like, okay, let's get those bricks out. All right, guys, thank you for watching whosever deck profile you just watched. Links to the other deck profiles of the series will be in the description. If you guys want to check out the open phase of the series, don't forget to check that out on my channel. But before you do that, don't forget to subscribe and like and follow and do all of that nice stuff to help us have that extra boost into the new year. And guys, after watching all 3 of our deck profiles, how much more confidence or how much more dread do you feel going into next week's games?
I am absolutely terrified. I've done a complete 180 on my ability to win this tournament. I can't bottomless casuals, ace monsters, and I'm never going to draw World Lance against Draconids. This is basically a wash for me. I'm sorry, guys.
My biggest thing was saying my deck profile out loud made me feel bad about my choices of what I put in, as opposed to seeing what you guys chose. I'm feeling not hesitant, but like I feel weird being the only one not including any copies of World Lance, but I figured my Link monsters are more for their utility quickly, and I'm not going into them ever for like staying on the field. They're not here for a long time or anything. So I still stand by it, but it does feel weird. I feel like I definitely have the I don't know. I guess we all have bottomless in common, which makes me feel glad that we all are capable and smart human beings. That's the biggest thing that I learned from this year. So, what about you?
Yes, we all have elementary cognition to put to put bottomless inside our decks. But I
have object permanence. This cardboard, however, does not. Whee!
Oh my god. I'm nervous and really excited to see how the games play out, because one thing that they say a lot in martial arts, which is something that is in a bit in my background as well, is anything can happen. So even a favorite can get knocked out. So hopefully JC's hubris is large enough for us to make a dent, for me to go at least 1-3 in our double round robin for next week. But
spirit.
But anyway, guys, don't forget to catch us next week for the games. We won't have any special guest commentators on because it is really close to the holidays, and I personally don't want to bother anybody besides these two, because they're contractually bound to do it. But that is it. And don't forget to subscribe to all of us, like I said earlier. And yeah, you guys are now out of the box.
Ooh.